Hey guys, welcome back to Grafting Dragon Fruit. It's Richard, and in this video today, I'm gonna be answering 5 common questions that I get asked frequently. You guys ready? Let's go. First question, you guys, is how often do I water my dragon fruit? And to answer that, it's pretty simple. I use these rules here to help me identify when I need to water my dragon fruit. The first step is I'm gonna go to my dragon fruit and check the soil. Before I give you guys how often I water them, I want to teach you guys about checking out your soil before initiating a watering, okay? So what I do is I'll come in here, I'll poke at this soil, and it still feels pretty, dry, but you don't know until you really go down in there. So I'm gonna take my finger and I'll poke it in there, and I'm gonna pull it up, and you can see that it's pretty dry. And what I do is I take this soil and I clump it up like this, and if it doesn't clump, then it's time to water. So the rule of thumb is, guys, stick your finger about 2 inches into the soil, and if the first 2 inches is dry, just like how you guys saw me, then it's time to water. And if it's wet, then you guys can give it a day or two, go back out here, check your soil to see if it's already dry, about 2 inches from the top, and then you guys can water. So how often I water my dragon fruits? For me, in California, during the summertime, I water my dragon fruits about every 3 to 4 days. And like I said, this number can change depending where you're at. It can be a lot hotter in your area, more humid in your area. So, and even if your dragon fruit sits in shade and is hot, the soil can actually dry a lot slower. So that's why I taught you guys to check your soil first before you guys water, because those variations can definitely change when to water your dragon fruit. So for me, where I'm at in Southern California, Anaheim, I wait about 3 to 4 days before I water my dragon fruit, and that's during the summertime. For the winter time, I know you guys are gonna ask me this, how often do I water my dragon fruit during the winter time? In the winter time, because it is so cold and it doesn't get as hot as during the summer, I actually don't water them until 2 or 3 weeks later. Sometimes it even rains in those 2 or 3 weeks, and I just don't water them. So it could be up to a month before I go out to water them. So use that gauge, you guys, that soil tip that I just showed you guys. Go out there, grab your soil. If it's dry, water them. If it's still moist and you can hold it and it clumps up and it stays as a clump, then your soil is still good. So it's really important to not water too much as well, because if you guys do that, the roots can actually start to rot. You're gonna get suffocation, and then your stem will start to rot, you guys. So let the soil dry back. Number 2, will the same branch fruit again after the bud is removed or abort? And the short answer is no, but let me explain to you guys why. So if you guys take a look at my Sunset branch here, this is Sunset Sherbert. She is a very productive producer, but some of these are actually aborted, and some of these have been taken off, and even some has fruited and I clipped it off. So you can see here, this is a clear indication that I've clipped this fruit off, because this is my shears cutting into that V to take my fruit off. Once that happens, I've actually removed the active node. So right here is all of the active nodes. You guys can see this. Sometimes they'll have spine on them, but as they get older and you start touching them, they'll start to fall off, and you're just left with these nodes here. So these nodes can actually grow fruits again. So as long as you guys have more nodes on here and they haven't been spent yet, they're gonna fruit again. They'll start to bud, flower, and you guys can harvest fruit again. But if you take them off, like this bud here, this one started to turn yellow. There was too many fruits on this branch, so you're gonna have to force yourself to take some of them off. And if you don't, nature's just gonna take its way. It's gonna turn the bud yellow, and then eventually you're gonna see that and you're gonna wanna take it off anyways. So that's what's gonna happen once you take off the bud or the fruit. It will not bud again, but the same branch still has nodes. Those other ones will still fruit for you guys. Number 3, when's a good time to tip your dragon fruit branch? And what tipping means, guys, in the dragon fruit community is just cutting off the ends of your dragon fruit. So we're gonna see a tip here. You're gonna clip it off. You can take off 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and that's what tipping means. So I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of variations here. There's no right or wrong way to tip a dragon fruit, but to my personal preference, I wait until the branch gets about 18 to 24 inches. So that's about 2 feet long before I decide to tip a dragon fruit. But I do this because I wanted to create a beautiful umbrella canopy. If the branches are too short, they're just gonna sit on top of the trellis and it's not gonna really canopy out. So if you're tipping dragon fruit too early, yes, they can still fruit, but you're not gonna get that amazing canopy that you guys see on all of my dragon fruits here. So leave it as long as you want, but don't let it get too long where it's almost touching the floor. And once you're harvesting fruit, you're gonna have to bend over and it's gonna be a little hard to maintain. And a good time to tip your dragon fruit would be early spring. That's when all of the dragon fruit starts to wake up from hibernation during the winter, and you're gonna see a lot of new growth popping out. Dragon fruit buds and flowers don't come out technically until the summertime. That's when they become very productive with flower production. So that's why you're tipping your dragon fruit in spring to prepare your dragon fruit to get some buds. And this also helps induce more flower buds and new growth. So that way, when it's summertime, you're gonna see all of this productivity, and it's because you tipped your dragon fruit. So let me show you guys some examples here. Here's a dragon fruit that's about 7 inches long. It was tipped by accident because I was just maintaining all of these other fruits here. But as you can see, even though this branch is only 7 inches long, we have a dragon fruit flower bud right here, you guys. And this is gonna fruit and flower just fine. As long as the branch is mature, or if your whole plant is mature, it has enough energy for it to produce a fruit. Here's another example here. This one's actually even smaller. It's about 5 to 6 inches. But as you can see, the tip actually has a flower bud on it, you guys. And here are some long ones that I tipped about 2 feet long. I tipped them and look at all of the buds I have here. And eventually they'll bloom and you're gonna get a chance to pollinate them and in return receive an amazing fruit. Number 4, what pot size is best to grow dragon fruits? So you guys, as you guys have made known already, I've been growing all of my dragon fruits in 20-gallon pots. There's nothing wrong with growing them in 20-gallon pots, but what I've noticed is if you give them more room to grow, they can actually grow even bigger and be more vigorous with growth. If you ever see dragon fruit farms that put their dragon fruits in straight in the ground, they grow like crazy, and the dragon fruit plant actually gets way bigger than it would in a container. So to answer that question, if you can find 25-gallon pots, this would be an ideal environment for dragon fruits. Because if you guys have been building my trellis, and you can find all those videos in my channel, there is a version where I make the trellis with a cement block. So the cement block is actually pretty big and it's taking some room in this 20-gallon pot. I didn't think it's an issue, but over time, as your dragon fruit matures, those roots are gonna get so compact in there, they're just gonna want more space. And ever since I put them in my garden here, I started seeing roots actually grow out of the holes here and implant itself into the ground. So I know that they can actually take more root space. Even though there's nothing wrong with this, they just will be more happier if you can give them a bigger environment. There's some people that I know that use the 50-gallon drums, and they'll cut those in half and use those as dragon fruit pots as well. And I think that's a really good idea to recycle those drums. They're those blue drums, and you know, they grow great in them. And I can see that all of those people that use those drums, they're a little bigger than 20 gallons. So when you cut those 50-gallon drums in half, it becomes 25-gallon. So just like what I have here, this 25-gallon, and they grow so vigorously. So if you're using a trellis with the cement block, it's gonna go in here and it's gonna take up some of that root space. But with the 25-gallon, now you're allowing a little bit extra room for more roots to, you know, just grow in there, be happy, and then eventually become a big dragon fruit plant like this. So to answer your guys' question, 25 gallons if you guys can find it, but if not, 20 gallons works as well. Number 5, how to tell from a bud or branch. So I've been saving this branch here just for this specific explanation, and I'm so glad that this example happened, so that way I can show you guys exactly what we're talking about. So this is my Asunta 6 dragon fruit here, and you can see clearly a bud and a branch. But sometimes the bud and branch is just so small, how can you guys tell? So one way to tell is when you're looking at a dragon fruit branch, it's gonna look something like this. So we look straight right over ahead of it. You're always gonna see 3 edges here. 1, 2, and 3. And you're gonna get either a red or a pink tip right at the center. And once it grows, let me try to focus so you guys can see that. Once it grows, it looks something just like this. It's gonna be hidden, and you're just gonna see edgy, non-smooth, contoured edges. So that's kind of an indication that you know it's gonna be a branch. And for a bud, they are always gonna be like a little bit more round. I call them buttons. So they look like a button once they start to pop out, and it's actually very tiny. But one way to really tell is they have a different color to them. They don't get pink or red like this, but they get a little bit darker in the maroon red side. And the edges are gonna be smooth, just like this. And you're not gonna see the 3-sided edge. Everything is just gonna look smooth like a little circular button. So that's how you guys can tell from a bud or a branch. And in a situation like this, where you have a bud and branch, you guys are gonna want to actually remove this branch. Because if you have this bud here, this branch is stealing so much of that competition from the bud that it's gonna grow very slowly. And if the bud is like, hey, I have competition here, what's the point of me being here? Why am I even growing if the branch is taking all of that energy? So the best thing to do once you guys see this is remove the branch, guys, just like this. So now your dragon fruit bud is gonna grow happy. It doesn't have competition with nutrients anymore, and it's gonna bloom sooner than later. So that's how you guys can tell from a dragon fruit branch or bud. And that's all for today, you guys. I hope you guys find all of that information helpful. If you guys did find it helpful, hit that like button for me. If you guys have any other questions that you guys want to ask, put it in the comments and I'll make another video answering all those questions for you guys. And if you guys want to see more grafting and dragon fruit videos of mine, hit that subscribe button so that way you guys won't miss a single thing. Have a wonderful day now. Bye, guys.